Last night, we saw one of the biggest NBA midseason moves of the year. Well, really the only one. Trae Young has officially been traded from the Atlanta Hawks to the Washington Wizards, ending his remarkable 8-year run in Atlanta and giving him a fresh start in the nation's capital. Young, a 4-time NBA All-Star, has spent his entire career with the Hawks since being drafted by them in 2018, and is now set to become the centerpiece of the Washington Wizards, who desperately need a true franchise identity. The deal sends Young to Washington in exchange for CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert. No draft picks were involved, which is somewhat unconventional for a player of Trae Young's pedigree. For Atlanta, the move marks a clear end of an era. Young leaves the franchise as the all-time leader in assists and three-pointers made, a player who delivered some of the most electrifying offense in Hawks history and famously led them to the 2021 Eastern Conference Finals. But even the most dynamic players sometimes reach a juncture where the team's goals and their own aspirations start to diverge. This season, injuries limited Young to just 10 games, and Atlanta actually posted better overall results without him on the court. Combine that with contract considerations, Young holds a $49 million player option for next season that Atlanta chose not to extend, and you can understand why the Hawks elected to move in that direction. That new direction for Atlanta means leaning fully into its emerging young core. Players like Jalen Johnson, Dyson Daniels, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and Onyeka Okongwu are all under team control and represent a more long-term blueprint for the Atlanta Hawks. Atlanta also gains financial flexibility by moving Young's contract, which could position them to pursue other big-name upgrades in the offseason or at the trade deadline. But today, this video isn't about Atlanta's reset. It's about Trae Young landing in Washington and why I believe it's a great fit for the Wizards. First, let's set the stage. The Wizards have been on a long path of rebuilding, accumulating young talent over the past few seasons, but lacking a true offensive engine. They currently sit near the bottom of the Eastern Conference, and for much of the year, they've struggled to consistently score and facilitate in half-court settings. Enter Trae Young, a proven scorer and facilitator who has averaged over 25 points and nearly 10 assists for his career. Washington's roster has high upside pieces like Alex Sarr, Bilal Coulibaly, and Trae Johnson, young wings and big bodies who can benefit from a playmaker who demands defensive attention and creates opportunities. Young's style thrives in the pick and roll and pick and pop actions, and that type of offense can unlock much more efficient scoring for these complementary talents. The Wizards have lacked a true floor general for years, since the days of John Wall, and Young fills that role in a way that simply hasn't existed in Washington for over a decade. Now it's no secret that Young isn't perfect. Defensively, he's often been a liability. His size, on and off the ball awareness have been long-standing questions in his game. But if you're a franchise still trying to find an identity, the ability to score at will, break down defense, and consistently create looks for teammates is a huge upgrade. In his prime, Young was one of the most prolific offensive engines in the NBA. For Washington, even if his shooting has dipped somewhat this season, his playmaking alone provides a transformative impact. Another reason why this fit excites me is Trae's perspective on the Wizards. Reports suggested that Washington wasn't just a random destination. It was a team that Young was open-minded to joining and had connections with. Wizards exec originally helped draft him back in Atlanta in 2018, and the familiarity could help Young feel more settled and empowered to take on a leadership role. When a superstar feels wanted and supported, it often translates to more positive energy and buy-in throughout the entire roster. And let's be honest, the Wizards needed this. Their guard play this season was among the least productive in the league before the trade, ranking near the bottom in scoring and assists from the backcourt. Giving Young the keys to this offense means the Wizards can finally run a system that leads into elite creation rather than hoping for something to emerge. Of course, some will argue this is a gamble. Young's injury history, his contract, his defensive limitations are real concerns. But every move in the NBA is a gamble. Washington is trading for high reward rather than playing it safe. If Young can stay healthy and tap into his peak form, this team could be in for a fun, unpredictable ride that accelerates the rebuild into something much more competitive. To wrap this up, this is a fresh beginning for Trae Young. It's a chance for him to redefine his career and lead a young, exciting roster in a city that hasn't seen consistent success in years. It's a chance for the Wizards to finally have a true floor general, and even though Atlanta is moving on, this trade could represent a win-win scenario where both teams, and especially Young, could get what they need. If you're a Washington fan, get ready for Trae time in a whole new way. And if you're just watching the trajectory of his career, this trade might be the chapter that shapes his legacy far beyond what he did in Atlanta.